Underwater photography, to me, it gives me a medium to showcase the underwater life to people which might not be able to dive or also a little bit afraid of the ocean. There's so much life underwater and so much history also in terms of wrecks, for example, and it needs to be documented to also save it for a lifetime. So it's also kind of telling the story of the ocean and to bring it to the people. Photographing wrecks makes it so special for me because I'm capturing parts of history underwater, and especially to convey and to showcase the contrast of death and life. Because on one hand, the wrecks at some point had life, then they basically sunk, and they give back this life to marine life, especially here in Malta. So you will see a lot more marine life coming back due to the wrecks. Each wreck has a story to tell and to bring the sunken history back to people. There are certain things that you need to be aware of when shooting wrecks, and one thing are the environmental conditions, especially the depth and the visibility. So get yourself informed where the wreck is also laying, so you get a little bit of information on how much time you actually have at the wreck to capture its beauty. Another thing is the visibility. So if you have a lot of particles in the water and using strong lights or strobes, try to avoid backscatter, which is basically the reflection of the particles, because this can create some spots in the photo. If you're shooting with digital cameras or even full-frame cameras, mirrorless cameras, know the settings of your camera. So you're basically free and can capture the right photo or the photo that you actually want. Push the ISO a little bit higher, open the aperture and shoot with a slower shutter speed, but also know the limits of your camera. So don't push the ISO too high. One of the most important rules in photography especially is shoot in RAW, because with that you will get the most out of it in post-processing. Use a wide-angle lens if you want to capture the full length of a wreck. It will help you to get the most out of it. If you're a bit restricted with your lens, you can also capture multiple photos and stick them afterwards. For example, I did it on one of the wrecks here in Malta, the so-called TAC 2, where I captured multiple photos and then in post-editing, post-processing, I sticked them together. I try to convey my photos by shooting mostly minimalistic, so also to give this spaceless feeling to the people. Another thing is the direction of the light. So natural or ambient light also will help to get your perfect photo or wreck photo. What I would recommend everybody who wants to get into wreck photography is try and learn. So as much as you shoot, as much you will learn. Continue shooting with other people and learn also from other people. Kind of take the rules and break them, which is very common in photography. So also your creativity plays into how you want to capture a photo. Regarding the diving, safety is always first, so come up with a dive plan. Especially if it's some deeper wrecks, you need to have a dive plan and safety measurements. As well as if you're diving with a buddy, assign buddy tasks, especially if it comes for shooting kind of model stuff underwater, like a small person with a big wreck. Assign and give the tasks before you actually start the dive, so then underwater you will not have any confusion. What I would recommend everybody also is using lights. Lights or the colors will diminish, so lights will help you to get the colors back of the wreck, especially if there are corals around or fish, and to give also this metal feeling back of a wreck. If you're going inside of a wreck and try to capture, for example, the engine room or parts of the interior of a wreck, Try to avoid backscatter by reducing the lightness of the luminance of the strobes or the lights that you're using. Also be aware that as soon as you go into a rack, and if you're an open circuit, the bubbles will dislocate some of the rusts in the rack, and then you can have more particles in the water as well. So maybe also make a plan before what you would like to have as a photo, so everybody knows as soon as you enter a rack what their tasks are. Another thing is buoyancy is key. So when you're shooting underwater, especially if you're shooting wrecks, you need to be as stable as possible to get the most perfect shots. Especially if you are trying to go inside the wreck, try to be as neutrally buoyant as possible. Become a master of post-production. So editing a photo is very crucial, so you can get the white balance corrected and try to get the colors back into a photo. So with the post-production, you're able to convey the feeling of the wreck that you had while you were basically shooting it. What I would recommend for everybody who wants to start underwater photography and also wreck photography, use the equipment that you have. I started with a GoPro Hero 9 at that point in time, and that's still one of my favorite dive buddies and helps me also to get these kind of moments in between while diving. So especially action cameras like GoPro Heroes are very good since they have a wide angle lens. They shoot in RAW, so you can get the most out of it also in post-processing, as well as most of them are shooting also in 10-bit footage. So also for videography, these are very good entry starting cameras, which will help you to capture wrecks beautifully, and they are light and travel friendly because they will fit in every hand luggage.